Sorry, boy, but his captain's got to teach his men what happens to those what crossing.
Captain's got to teach stuff.
Good morning from the Bat Cave. It is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, and looks like I'm about 3 weeks away from moving into my new home, and hopefully when I do that, I'm going to have an office again. I'm probably going to set up some improvements on sound and visuals. We'll try to do my best with that. But for now, you guys are going to get the air conditioner kicking on and off as we get through Jeremiah. So we'll be through Jeremiah before I make my move. I may take a week off from doing any videos just to get my move and unplug everything and plug everything back in. So we'll try to get through Jeremiah before that. It looks like we can do that in probably 2 sessions. We got from chapter 34 to 52 to do. And then for my late week streams, I'll probably do keep going on stuff having to do with demons and spiritual warfare. I don't see myself really researching anything super deeply until I finish my move. I've just got a lot on my plate. So, but yeah, so excited about that, and appreciate you guys for your support and your listening. For those of you who have not been following the community page, I did do a podcast with All Out War on demons and Nephilim and all kinds of good stuff on Sunday, and a lot of people have given positive feedback about that. If you guys want to watch that, it's probably about 2 hours long. So anyways, if you we're going to go on Jeremiah 34, and before we do that, we're going to get into the map a little bit. If you remember, you see Jeremiah 34, it's going to say, the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army, and all the kingdoms of the earth of his dominion, and all the people fought against Jerusalem and against the cities thereof. So this is looking like this is going to be when Zedekiah is the king. So Zedekiah is going to be one of those last 3 kings. If you remember, they're technically 3 sons and then 1 grandson of Josiah, who's going to rule for about 3 years. But the first guy's in there for a few months. He gets taken by Necho of Egypt because he obstructed his fight against Nebuchadnezzar. Second one is going to reign for 11 years. He's going to die. Doesn't really say how he dies, but he's not that old. He's only in like his 30s when he dies. His son's going to take the throne. He's very young. His son is, I believe, like 18 when he takes the throne. And he is going to just last a couple years, and then he is going to get taken into captivity to Babylon. He's going to surrender to King Nebuchadnezzar. And then King Nebuchadnezzar is going to remove him from the throne, take him to Babylon, and then put the third king, which is, so it's going to be Jehoiachin, his son Jehoiakim, his son Jehoiachin, and then the third one is going to be, I forget what his original name was, but he's going to rename him Zedekiah. So Zedekiah is going to be the last king before it all gets destroyed, and he's going to rule for 11 years. So we're going to look at the period from Josiah to Zedekiah. Remember, Josiah is going to die in this battle at Carchemish, which you see this map right here. Carchemish is up here north of Aleppo. You see Haran, where the Jews were always associated with that. Carchemish was actually an Egyptian trade city that was set up when they were friendly with the Jews way back then. And then they had ports in a place called Byblos, which was kind of up here north of Tyre. And Byblos would connect to Carchemish, and then they would ship stuff to Egypt. And that's how they would get their bronze, their sickle swords, their chariots, and all that stuff, their horses and all that stuff from here. And that's how Egypt started getting super powerful when the Jews were there. And then they turn on the Jews, and they lose Carchemish after they turn on the Jews to, I believe, the Mitanni. And I don't think they ever get it back. I think one time they go up there, I want to say under Pharaoh Ramses, and then they're going to get that region back. Let's see if we can make this a little bigger. They're gonna push weight up here, but they're really in decline from the time they turn on the Jews, and they never get this back once the Jews leave. They do push into Judea a couple times during the periods of the Judges. They sack Jerusalem, or at least they pillage Jerusalem or get tribute from Jerusalem or something like that during the days of Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. Of course, that's right after the kingdom divides, so they're kind of weakened at that time. And then they ultimately get subdued by the Assyrians. And the Assyrians are going to put Necho and his family on the throne. They're a Cushite tribe, so they're going to be from down here in Nubia. He's going to put them in charge in the city called Sais, which Sais is going to be the city that Pythagoras and what is his name? Solon, the guy who's kind of credited or associated with the founding of democracy. They're going to go down here and learn from the Egyptian mysteries and transport that stuff back to the Greeks, which is going to be very influential in Greek philosophy after that. But you're going to have Carchemish kind of lose its place, and then Necho in the Battle of Carchemish with Nebuchadnezzar is kind of their last attempt to try to take it, and Egypt never really tries to exert power outside of these borders, with the exception of when the Ptolemies, which are Greeks really, are waging war against the Seleucids. So the ethnic Egyptians never really try to pull weight again. So nor do the Nubians. So what we're going to have here is in this 11-year period, you remember the first guy is going to get pulled down. He's going to die in Egypt, so he's only going to be there for 3 months. It's really just until Necho gets back with his army from the Battle of Carchemish and he dislodges that guy. The next guy is going to rule for 11 years. His son is then he's going to die in rebellion against Babylon, and then his son's going to rule for about a couple years. And by that time, he's going to rebel. It's about a 5-year period. And the reason is because Babylon is still contending with other people. Remember, they overthrew Nineveh, but they're still kind of asserting their dominance over this region, including to Elam over here. Their allies, the Medes, have kind of taken over this place, and Cyaxares, who is going to be I believe Cyaxares is the one who's going to help Nebuchadnezzar's grandfather sack Nineveh. They're kind of pushing over this territory here, and so you still have a friendly relationships with them. They allied to overthrow Nineveh, but they are ultimately going to be contentious with one another. And then Cyrus, who is really Persian, but he's married in with the Medians, he is going to take over the whole Median Empire, and that's going to become the Persian Empire. So if any of you guys are super history nerds, you're going to know that Herodotus actually is claiming this Median Empire is much older than it is, and that is not true. You're going to see maps of a Median Empire, and the reality is Ecbatana is probably a pretty old city as the core of the Medes. If you see this mountain range right here, they're known as the Zagros Mountains, and you're going to have people called the Gutians, but they're all basically Medes. They're descended from Madai, who is recorded in Genesis 10. He is a Japhethite. According to the Book of Jubilees, he is married in with the descendants of Arphaxad, and according to Herodotus, the Magi are descended from him. Now, Herodotus, you have to understand, Herodotus was probably the most famous historian of the Greek period because he kind of was the first one to try to write a world history by researching backwards to get the whole known world's history. But most of what he gets is based on hearsay. If anything, he may have traveled to Phoenicia and Egypt, but most of the stuff that he's going to get about this stuff here is based on hearsay, coming from Greeks in the army, coming from people who might have been connected, because you did have Greek mercenaries serving underneath the Medes for a time. So we don't know if he's getting the legit true story. The Magi seem to have converted to Zoroastrianism. They may have been a Median tribe, but again, the Zagros Mountains are just right here. Zoroaster is supposedly from a town around here in the Zagros Mountains that's going to be mentioned in the book of Tobit. So he's obviously famous because they're mentioning a city in the book of Tobit, and they wouldn't just mention that for no reason. Okay, so you're going to see these Medes always be a presence because they're up in the mountains here, and so you got to exert quite a bit of power to suppress these people. And you had the Assyrians and the Ninevites suppressing the Medes that would be down in the lowlands, down in the base of the mountains, the same way as, it was hard to completely conquer the Canaanites, or after them, the Israelites, who were up in the mountains, but they could always just come through the lowlands with chariots and big armies and stuff and take that pretty easy. But it's a lot harder to go take, fighting guys in the mountains. It's the same thing we have with Tora Bora today with all the Afghanistanis and stuff like that. If they can get into the mountains and hide in caves and keep doing guerrilla warfare on you, it's pretty hard to take people out completely. And so you didn't really have anybody ruling over the Medes until the Persians form. And the reason the Persians are able to do it is because the Medes had already consolidated into a confederacy all these tribes from over here, these lands that they would have taken from the Assyrian Empire. Ecbatana is their capital, and then going all the way back to pretty much to Afghanistan. So you see these Amu Darya River, Bactria right here is going to be the far east of Persia, up into Afghanistan. And then you see this Indus River down here. The Medes pretty much have taken everything but this land that belongs to the Hindis, and then this land that belongs to the Afghanis, who are probably would be Turkish peoples. So the Medes seem to be these tribes of Medes. They seem to all be descended from Madai, but they're probably mixed with these peoples that are also Turkish. So that's kind of the ethnic makeup of these guys. And then Passagardi and Persepolis, these are the Persis. This is one of those tribes. Again, they're probably all related, but they're probably a mix of Turkish and Median people. Okay, and so you have all these tribes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the Armenians are different people. But the people of Tagarma descended from Gomer, and so did the people of Armenia. The Cappadocians seem to be based on the Gemarian people, which are descended from Gomer. And then the Armenian kingdom of Urartu has these people on the line of kings. Like every other king's last name is Rusha, who seems to be Rosh, who seems to be descended from Riphath. So, and Riphath is also a son of Gomer. So you have 3 sons of Gomer. One becomes the Ashkenazis. These guys are up here, and they're actually going to become the German peoples. The people of Rosh or Riphath become basically the Slavic peoples, which is going to be your Russians and your Yugoslavs and stuff like that. And then the people of Togarma become the Turkish people, which are going to be all your Stan countries, and then mix with the Medes down here to essentially form what is the Median Empire, and then eventually the Persian Empire. And the Persians are going to get all this. They're going to expand to the west to take the Indus Valley down here, to the east, and then they're going to expand to the west to take all of Babylon, and then they're going to keep going. They're going to take all of Syria. They're going to take all of Turkey, and then they're going to get up into Greece before the Greeks basically start stopping them with the Spartans, if you remember, who are Danites. And then they're going to keep pushing and pushing until Alexander the Great comes and takes them out, and all that is prophesied. So we really have this Median Empire lasting for roughly the same time as the Babylonian Empire, because it was a confederacy that allied together against Assyria, and this was very smart for them, because once they did that, they would control the bronze trade to Babylon. Now, by this time, we're entering into the Iron Age, so bronze is not as sought after for weapons, but it's still in use. It's still a high commodity, and the tin mines to get up here and to control the lapis lazuli and they control the spices from India and all this stuff, they essentially control the Silk Roads to Babylon, which is going to be a pretty stable kingdom. It's going to be a breadbasket, and you're going to have a lot of buying power down there. And so these guys are basically going to ally to control the routes between the East and the Middle East. Okay, so and then Persia's going to come in there, and they're going to be like, well, we want all of that. And you see this little kingdom of Elam here. They're going to take over Elam, and they're going to make Susa their capital rather than Ecbatana or Hagmatana. And Susa is going to be, they come from Persepolis, but they end in Susa. And the end of Daniel's life and the story of Esther is going to take place there in Susa, which is going to be the capital. That's where some of these people from these deportation ended up being, because when Babylon gets sacked, some of these people who are well-to-do, or they might be in the administration of Babylon because they were taken, remember, the educated, the princes, the people who had good trade skills and stuff like this, they're going to be taken then from Babylon to Susa. Okay, so that is the map. And we are in this period where you see this route where they're going to basically go to be exiled from Jerusalem. Okay, well, in the final destruction of Jerusalem, they're not really taking many exiles. They are taking some, but they're probably slaves at that point. Because remember, 11 years earlier, they took all the who's who out of there. Okay, so this is mostly going to be the people where Daniel and Ezekiel go out. And Ezekiel's going to go to a place, ironically, called, what is that name called? Tel Aviv. This is ironic because it's Tel Aviv. It's the ancient name for Tel Aviv. So it's somewhere up in here, and then Daniel's going to be right in Babylon. And they're going to be doing their prophesying from over here. And they're both starting in this 11-year period that we're in right now. Okay, so you want to think it's going to be a little bit before we get back to Ezekiel and Daniel, because we're going to be clearing Jeremiah, we're going to be clearing Lamentations, and then we are done with this, and then we're going to start back over with Chronicles, and then jump to Ezekiel and Daniel before we get to Ezra. Okay, So it's going to be a little while before we get to this, but you just want to remember, as this stuff is going on with Jeremiah, Ezekiel is also prophesying the destruction of Jerusalem from over here, but his prophecies aren't necessarily going to be heard in Jerusalem, okay? Ezekiel and Daniel know of each other, and Daniel knows of Jeremiah, and Ezekiel probably knows of Jeremiah too. He doesn't mention him, but it's not obvious from anything that we have in Kings or Chronicles or Jeremiah that he is aware of Ezekiel and Daniel. They seem to be prophesying to the Jews in exile, okay? So we're in this toward the end of this 11-year period. These guys have all been exiled, and now Nebuchadnezzar, they're saying he's getting all the armies under his dominion, all the nations under his dominion, including all the most ancient enemies of the Jews. They hate the Jews. They've hated them forever. And remember, the Jews had been kicking all these people's butts until the Assyrians and Babylons came over. So when somebody says, hey, we're going to go up and take Jerusalem, who wants in? You can plunder the city. These guys are going to be like, I volunteer as tribute. And I'm going to kill some Jews and get some Jewish stuff. Okay? They love doing this, okay? To this day, they love doing this. And this is why you have prophets like Obadiah prophesying against Edom, because the Edomites will always volunteer to attack Israel. To this day. So that's that. Now we're in the prophecy, and we're going to just flow with this thing and see how far we get. But we're probably going to get from like 34 to somewhere around, I'm going to try to get to around 41, maybe. That'll be about halfway. We'll see. And then I'll try to polish it off in a good break, okay? So this is the word of the Lord which came to Jeremiah from the Lord when Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon and all his army and all the kings of the earth and his dominion and all the people fought against Jerusalem and against the cities, all the cities thereof, saying, Thus saith the Lord God, the God of Israel, Go and speak to Zedekiah, king of Judah, and tell him, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. So he's been telling them this, but he's been saying, but you could still repent. We'll see if he's still giving them room to repent anymore. Thou shalt not escape out of his hand, but shall surely be taken and delivered to his hand, and thine eyes shall behold the eyes of the king of Babylon, and he shall speak with thee with the mouth, and thou shalt go to Babylon. Doesn't look like he's giving room to repent anymore. Yet hear the word of the Lord, O Zedekiah, king of Judah. Thus saith the Lord of thee, Thou shalt not die by the sword. Thou shalt die in peace, and with the burnings of thy fathers, the former kings which were before thee, so shall they burn odors for thee, and they shall lament thee, saying, Ah, Lord, for I have pronounced the word of the Lord, saith the Lord. So he's saying Zedekiah is going to die in peace, despite the fact that he's going to get taken to Babylon. He's going to get blinded, and his sons are going to get killed. Then Jeremiah the prophet spake all these words unto Zedekiah, the king of Judah and Jerusalem. When the king of Babylon's army fought against Jerusalem and against all the cities of Judah that were left, against Lachish and against Azekah, for those defense cities remained of the cities of Jerusalem. So let's look at where Lachish and Azekah is. I love how they have these maps on Wikipedia, and then when you click on them, the markers are gone. So you see Azekah up here. Where are we in relation? There's Lachish down here. If you see Eglon, that I believe was a Philistine city. Beth Shemesh, there's Gath, there's another Philistine city. So these are going to be cities downhill from Jerusalem. I believe that's Bethlehem up here. Let's see if we can get a better map, boy. Jebus right here, that's Jerusalem. So you see they have a couple cities downhill from them, so they're still kind of pulling away a little bit on the Philistines. And I believe at this time, some of the cities of the Philistines are ruled over by Egypt. So it seems like Babylon is not trying super hard to take these cities from the Egyptians. It seems like they have reached, after this battle between them, they don't really try to fight each other for dominance anymore, although Nebuchadnezzar is going to invade Egypt to the cities where the Jews are, and that is captured in a stele in Egypt. So it says, so there's a couple cities they had left. He says it takes those fortified cities. Then it says, this is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. After that, the king Zedekiah made a covenant with all the people that were at Jerusalem to proclaim liberty to them. Oh, you idiot. This is it. Remember, all his good people were taken before he got put on the throne. Okay? 11 years have passed. This is not enough time to rebuild your armies. This is not enough time to rebuild your merchant class, your trade class, your smiths, all the guys you need for weapons and armor making, all the smart people who are going to figure out how to get money and how to get supplies to maintain this fight and negotiate with people in the region to see if you can get help and other people who might also want to see Babylon resisted. All those people are gone. And he says, like, nevertheless, He's going to proclaim liberty to them. He's saying we are going to have liberty from the Babylonians. This is you want to project this onto 70 AD and realize it's like a mirror of 70 AD. These Jews are deceived into thinking they can overthrow the Romans, just like they're deceived into thinking they can overthrow the Babylonians. This is why Christ is going to parallel so much of the language, even though he's going to be referring to Daniel in the future. This is going to be like Nebuchadnezzar's conquest, and then Daniel is going to be the Antichrist, which is going to be the far future ultimate fulfillment of that. So he says that every man should let his maidservant and every man his manservant and every man his maidservant, being a Hebrew or a Hebrewess, go free, that none of them should serve themselves to wit of a Jew his brother. So what is he trying to do? He's saying, let's keep the Jubilee, and if we keep the law for a little bit, we should be able to rebel against Nebuchadnezzar. Now, God's already told him he's going to go to captivity to Nebuchadnezzar. That's not how you do it. Now, when all the princes and all the people which had entered the covenant heard that everyone should let his manservant, everyone his maidservant go free, that none should serve themselves to any more, they all obeyed and let him go. So everybody released their slaves. Now, they should have been doing this anyways under the law, but they weren't doing it. But now, what did he do? What did Zedekiah just do? He just bought a bunch of people who are now loyal to him, who are willing to fight for him, because they were slaves and now they're free. Freedom, says William Wallace. Now go run on a bunch of pikes for the English and die in my honor. That didn't help. Did the Scottish end up getting their freedom from England? No, they did not. No, they did not. Robert the Bruce went down with the Templar Knights who helped him, and Scotland ended up being subjugated by England. But we got a great movie out of it, but we didn't get freedom out of it. But afterwards they turned and caused the servants and the handmaids, whom they had let go free, to return, and brought them into subjugation for servants and handmaids. They just went and just re-enslaved them by force. Wait a minute. Didn't the king just decree that they could go free? Yeah. So how are they legally putting them back in the bondage? Easily, just by force. They're just wicked people, right? So these people are legally free, also free under the law of Moses. So under the king's decree and the law of Moses, they are free, and yet these people just went and returned them to slavery anyways. That's how evil they are. Therefore the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus saith the Lord, God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondmen, saying, At the end of 7 years, let every man go his brother a Hebrew, which has been sold unto thee, which he has served 6 years. You shall let him go free, but your fathers hearken not to me, nor incline their ear. And you were now turned and done right in my sight, in proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor, and you made a covenant before me in the house which is called by thy name. So they made a covenant before God to set these people free. But you turned and polluted my name, and caused every man his servant, and every man his handmaid, whom you had set at liberty at their pleasure, to return, and brought them into subjection to be your servants for the handmaids. So they had the nerve to go before God, and they think, we're going to set our captives at liberty, and that will give God his pleasure, and then we can rebel against Nebuchadnezzar. No. God was like, I like that. But then you just turned and went back and did it. No. You think you can bribe me with something that you're going to go Indian give and take backsies? No. So therefore, thus saith the Lord, you have not hearkened to me in proclaiming liberty, everyone to his brother, and everyone man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim liberty for you, saith the Lord. Remember, if you ever watch Thor Ragnarok, when he's like, I pardon you from life, and then he melts the guy. He's like, I proclaim liberty to you, saith the Lord, to the sword, to pestilence, and to the famine, and I will make you be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth. So he's like, I liberate you from life. Like this is how the Lord's like, you want to be clever with me? I'll be clever with you. And I will give the men that have transgressed my covenant, which have not performed the words of the covenant which they have been made before me, when they cut a calf in twain and passed between the parts thereof. So they were doing the whole making a covenant with cutting the bull and pass between it, right? He says, this is what I'll do, the princes of Judah, the princes of Jerusalem, the eunuchs, the priests, and all the people of the land which passed between the parts of the calf. So everyone who came into this covenant to set their captives free, says, I will even give them to the hand of their enemies, and to the hand of them that seek their life, and their dead bodies shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the earth. So these people are not going into captivity to Babylon, unless as slaves, and then they're either that or dead. Okay? So everybody who entered in this covenant and then backed out and Indian gave to God, he's like, you're either going to be dead or slaves. How's that sound? How you like me now? I pardon you from life. And Zedekiah, the king of Judah, and his princes will give into the hand of the enemies, and into the hand of them that seek life, and in the hand of the king of Babylon, the army which are gone up from you. Behold, I will command, saith the Lord, and cause them to return to the city, and they shall fight against it and take it and burn it with fire, and I will make the cities of Judah a desolation without an inhabitant. You're all gone. You're all toast. The word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, the king of Judah. So now we're going back again. See how these things are not in chronological order? But what they're doing is they're all stacking these things up, and this is after the destruction of Jerusalem is over. And so typically it's the fulfillment of the thing that they're pointing to, not necessarily the timing of the giving them. So that's why they're all over the place. And you just have to take note, okay? So now we're back as much as maybe 13 years back, okay? He says, go to the house of the Rechabites and speak to them and bring them into the house of the Lord and into one of the chambers and give them wine to drink. So the Rechabites were these people, a pastor I used to sit under. He would mention these guys all the time. It was kind of a random thing, but he really liked these Rechabites. We're going to read about these Rechabites. So the Rechabites, just so you know, if you guys ever heard of the book, The Prayer of Jabez, Jabez was from the house of Rechab, okay? These are the Kenites that came from Hemath, the father of the house of Rechab, okay? So this is in 1 Chronicles 2:25. The Kenites, I believe, were relatives of Moses through his father Jethro. So these would have been like Moses' in-laws. But anyways, he said their father bid them to, or he's going to say, take him to the chamber and give him wine to drink. So Jehoiakim gives him wine to drink. Then I took Jazaniah, the son of Jeremiah, and the son of Habaziniah, and his brethren, and all his sons, and all the house of the Rechabites. And I brought them in the house of the Lord, and the chambers of the sons of Hanan, and the sons of Igdaliah, the man of God, which was by the chamber of the princes, which was above the chamber of Messiah, and the son of Shallum, the keeper of the door. So he's putting in a lot of detail so that they would know who was in charge and when this happened, because this is something that after the fact is a very important thing to know you had witnesses to. And then I set before the sons of the house the Rechabites pots full of wine and cups, and I said to them, drink ye wine. And they said, we will drink no wine, for Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, you shall not drink wine, neither ye or your sons forever. So whatever reason, some generations before, the son of Rechab, bid them never to drink wine. That's that. Why? We don't know. Maybe this is a guy who is related to this guy in Proverbs 30 or 31, who says this, King Lemuel, he says, do not give your strength to women the way that destroys king. It is not for kings to drink wine or princes to drink strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert judgment, lest any be afflicted. Maybe the people were of that same inclination and said, no, we're just not going to drink wine at all. Well, this pastor happened to be a guy who thought Christians shouldn't drink. So he uses this to say, look, they shouldn't drink. But that's not the point that God is making here. Their father said, you shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons or ever. So their father bid them to never drink wine. Okay, this is a generational command to them. Neither shall ye build ye house, or sow seed, or plant a vineyard, nor have any, but all your days you shall dwell in tents, that you may live many days in the land where you be strangers. So he didn't just tell them not to drink wine, you anti-drinking people. He told them not to build houses, sow seeds, so they're essentially going to be herdsmen, nor plant vineyards, but all your days you shall dwell in tents and live many days in the land where you be strangers. So essentially live like Bedouin, okay? You just do this. Now, if you remember, we talked about this attitude going all the way back to Zarathustra had this attitude, that people who were herdsmen and camel traders and stuff like that were better. They had a rougher life than the people who would sit down and plant and build houses and all that. And so therefore they were more righteous because they had a rougher life. That same attitude is going to be in the Bedouin and behind Islam. Of course, they're going to get that fatter, richer life, and they're going to change their tune real quick because it's good to be the king. So he says, thus we have obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, and all that he hath charged us, and drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters, nor to build houses for us to dwell in. Neither have we any vineyard, nor field, nor seed, but we have dwelt in tents and have obeyed and done according to Jonadab, our father, had commanded us. So all this time, they're going through all these sieges, and they're going through all this stuff. Remember Jael, who drove the tent peg through the guy's head? I believe she was of the Kenizzites too, or the Kenites. I believe she was. So it says of, let's see, Hemath. So let's see Hemath. Nope. It says, behold, I will raise up against you a nation. They shall afflict you from the entering of Hemath unto the river of the wilderness. I think that's the Jordan, but where's Hamath? Here you go, the Kenites. So the Kenites, there is a Kenite tribe that the land of the Kenites would be given to Israel, okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean, this is Genesis 15, that doesn't necessarily mean these are the same Kenites. So you also say the Rephaim, the Perizzites, the Kenizzites. So some of these guys are sons of Canaan. But then you see, and he looked up on the Kenites and took up this parable, saying, strong be thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Asher shall carry thee away captive. So these seem to be other Kenites. But then we have in Judges, we said, now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab. So Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites and pitched his tent in Zanaim, which is by Kadesh. So it seems like he may be of those Canaanite Kenites, but he severed himself from those Kenites and he married into, probably, if you remember, Jethro. Hobab is another name for Jethro. And Jethro had a bunch of daughters, not just the one Moses married. So he probably married one of the other brothers. So he would have been Moses' brother-in-law. And these guys, it says they're going to dwell in the plain of Zainim, which is by Kadesh. Let's see where Kadesh is. So this is by the, see, Hamath, by Kadesh, Naphtali. This is by the Sea of Galilee, okay? So these people are dwelling in tents over here, but they seem to be people who were related to the Canaanites. And then it says, and they showed Sisera and Barak. Sisera and Barak was the ones, that's the general who's going to get the tent peg driven into his head by Jael. So it seems to be these were people who were of this Canaanite clan, but they had married in a daughter of Moses's father-in-law, and so they were basically related to the Midianites now. And married in with them and lived among them. So they were kind of counted among the Midianites, but they were a different people. So it's important to go, these people were not Hebrews, they're not Jews, they're actually Canaanites who are married in. But what does the Lord have to say about them? He says, they're not drinking any wine. So we've obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our fathers, in that he has charged us to drink no wine all our days, our wives, our sons, or our daughters, nor to build houses to dwell in, nor do we have vineyard or field, nor seed. So it's almost like they're repentant Canaanites. We don't want to be like the Canaanites who have houses and vineyards and seed. They're all wicked, and they're drunks. But we have dwelt in tents and have obeyed and done according to all that Jonadab our father commanded us. So it's almost like he did this to keep them humble so they wouldn't get destroyed with the rest of the Canaanites. But it came to pass when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came into the land that we said, come and let us go to Jerusalem for fear of the army of the Chaldeans and for fear of the army of the Syrians, so we dwelt at Jerusalem. So because of the invasion of Nebuchadnezzar, these guys move up from the Sea of Galilee up to Jerusalem. Then came the word of the Lord unto Jeremiah, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, go and tell the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, will ye not receive instruction and hearken to my words, saith the Lord? The words of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, that he commanded his sons not to drink, are performed for us unto this day, and they drink none, but obey their father's commandment. Notwithstanding, I have spoken to you, rising early and speaking, but you have not hearkened unto me. So this is important to know. The sons of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, so we want to look at this. These are the scribes that dwell at Jabez, the Tirathites, the Shimeathites, the Sukkothites. These are the Kenites that came out of Hamath. Hamath is the father of Rechab. Okay, so that Hamath right here is the father of Rechab, who's the father of Jonadab. Okay, so Jabez, from the prayer of Jabez, is actually a Canaanite. Okay, and it says there's a few. It says the scribes that dwell at Jabez, the Tirathites, the Shimeathites, and the Sukkothites. These are the Kenites that came of Hamath, the father of the house of Rechab. So Hamath seems to be the one who came out, and he marries in with Moses' father-in-law. The house of Rechab is going to be the third generation. So this coming out and breaking away from them was probably super, super early. Judges 1:16, it says, the children of the Kenite, Moses, look at this, Judges 1. The children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up to... Okay, what they mean is the children of the Kenite, who were also children of Moses' father-in-law, because they married into that family, went up out of the city of the palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah that went around Arad, okay? So when was this Hamath, the father of Rechab? Well, if the city's named Hamath, probably pretty early. I would guess these guys have been around since the book of Judges. So the point that the Lord is making here is these guys who've been around since the book of Judges have honored their father's command not to drink, not to build houses, plant seed, or plant vineyards, but to dwell in tents. For almost the entire time the Jews have been in the Promised Land. These guys are probably, I would guess, third or fourth generation from the time of Moses. So you're probably looking at about halfway through the book of Judges, okay? What is the point? He's saying these guys, from all the way back to half in the book of Judges, so we're probably a good 1,000 years from there by now. Well, maybe not 1,000 years. We're around 587. The book of Judges is going to be around 1400 to around the 11th century. Okay, so 14th century to the 11th century. So these guys are probably 13th century. So we're looking at about 800 years. So for 800 years, these guys have honored their father's commands, and these commands have made them peculiar to the people in the region because the Jews are all settled in cities. They do have shepherds and herdsmen, but these guys are living more humbly than them in the midst of their land. Almost like Christians. They're Gentiles. And they're doing everything. And he says, they said, we won't do this. He says, they have obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, the father of all he hath charged us to drink no wine. And the Lord is saying, hey, how come they can keep the commands? But I've spoken to you. In other words, I spoke to you rising early and speaking, and you have not hearkened to me. In other words, rising early, he's linking himself to the sun, just so you know. And he's like, even before that, I spoke to you, and you guys haven't hearkened to me. I have sent you also my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them. Return ye now every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. You shall dwell in the land that I have given you and your fathers, but you have not inclined your ear nor hearkened to me. Now listen to what the Lord is saying. Does this sound like total depravity to you? He's saying, if the Rechabites can keep the command of their father to not drink, not dwell in houses, not plant seed, not sow vineyards, but just be humble tent-dwelling people, despite all the money that's been flowing through the land over the years, how come you guys, with all of my prophets, aren't listening to me? Does that sound like the Lord is appealing to total depravity? No, he's not. He's saying these people, these Canaanites, can seem to follow their father's command. Why can't you follow my command? Because the sons of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, have performed the commandment of their father, which he commanded them, but this people has not hearkened unto me. Therefore thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring upon Judah and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil that I have pronounced against them, because I have spoken unto them, but they have not heard. I have called unto them, but they have not answered. And Jeremiah said to the house of the Rechabites, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, because you have obeyed the commandment of Jonadab your father, and have kept all his precepts, and have done according to all that he hath commanded you. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Jonadab, the son of Rechab, shall not want a man to stand before me forever. I want you to listen to what he's saying. He gave Jonadab, the son of Rechab, an eternal promise that they will always be people of God in his line. Now, who are the descendants of these people? I would want to know. There are Bedouin dwelling in the land of, in the Negev. I've actually met some of them when I went to Israel, because we had a camp we stayed at in the Negev, and there were Bedouin that were around that area, and it may be them. Bedouin is just kind of a generic term for these tent-dwelling shepherds, and by that time I think they were dwelling in RVs or something, but the point is it's not permanent fixed houses. They're kind of like gypsies, if you will, and they still herd goats and stuff like that. But God is saying that there will be people of those lines who will always dwell before him. So let's see if there's Bedouin Christians. The Negev Bedouin. It says some of our sub-Saharan African descent, so they're black, who until the later part of the century wandered between the Hejaz in the east and the Sinai Peninsula in the west. So there are Christian Arabs in Israel. An Arab, remember, is a generic term for mixed people, so a Bedouin could be an Arab. I'm curious to know if these people are of the descent of the house of Rechab. It wouldn't shock me at all, because that's God's promise. Now, it came in the past in the 4th year of King Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah of Judah, that this word came to Jeremiah saying, so remember, he's going to rebel I think it's in the 8th year of 11 years, and this is in the 4th year. He says, take thee a roll of the book and write therein all the words that I have spoken against thee, against Israel and against Judah, and against all the nations from the day I have spoken to thee, from the days of Josiah even till this day. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I purpose to do unto them, and that they may return every man from his evil way, and that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. So again, this is upwards of, I'm going to say, ballpark of 20 years before they go into captivity, and he's all these prophecies, all the ones that would be before them, which is most of the book of Jeremiah, the Lord saying, give it to them and see if they'll repent. Okay? Then Jeremiah called Baruch the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord which he had spoken unto him in the roll of the book. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up, I cannot go into the house of the Lord. Therefore go thou and read the roll which thou hast written from my mouth, and the words of the Lord in the ears of the prophet, the people of the Lord's house upon the fasting day. And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah and out of their fenced cities. So he's shut up, probably, remember when I think they shut him up in prison for a little bit for his prophesying. So he's sending Baruch to give his words. It may be that they will present their supplication before the Lord, and will return every one from his evil way, for great is the anger and the fear of the Lord that is pronounced against his people. And Baruch the son of Neriah did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him regarding the words of the book of the Lord's house. So if we go back to, let's see, Jeremiah 32, that's where Baruch gets mentioned the first time. He says, in the sight of Hanamiel, my uncle's son. That was the guy who was the witness. Hold on, let's see here. To him taking up that thing. So it says that was in the 10th year of Zedekiah. So apparently Baruch was already in the picture by them, because that's towards the end. Baruch is in the picture from pretty early on in Jeremiah's ministry, so a good 20 years before the end. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up, I cannot go into the house of the Lord. So he's saying, you need to go read this for me, and then pronounce what the Lord has pronounced against his people. And it says, so the Baruch did it. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast before the Lord to all the people in Jerusalem, and all the people that came from the cities of Judah and Jerusalem. So they did feign repentance for a little bit. Then read Baruch in the words of the book of Jeremiah, the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the higher court, in the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house, in the ears of all the people. This is before that first captivity where Daniel and Ezekiel and all the people of upper class are getting taken away. When Micaiah, the son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of the book the words of the Lord, then he went down to the king's house, the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat there, even Elishama the scribe, and Delaiah the son of Shemaiah, and Elthanan the son of Achbor, and Gemariah the son of Shaphan, and Zedekiah the son of Hananiah, and all the princes. Then Micaiah declared unto them the words that he had heard when Baruch read the book in the ears of all the people. Therefore all the princes sent Jehudi the son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushi, unto Baruch, saying, Take in thine hand the roll which thou hast read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch the son of Neriah took the rolls in his hand, and he came unto them, and they said unto him, Sit down now and read in our ears. And Baruch read it in the ear. Now it came to pass that they had heard all the words, and were afraid one and another, and said unto Baruch, We will surely tell the king all these words. And they asked Baruch, saying, Tell us now, how did thou write the words in this mouth? When Baruch answered them, he pronounced the words unto me in this mouth, and wrote them in the ink of his book. Then said the princes of Baruch, Go hide thee, thou and Jeremiah, let no man know where you be. In other words, get out of town, because these guys are going to kill you dead. They went to the king of the court, but laid up the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, told all the words in the ears of the king. So the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber, and Jehudi read it in the ears of the king, the ears of all the princes that stood beside the king. Now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was a fire in the hearth burning before him. So remember, this is 3 years before he's going to rebel against Babylon. And it came to pass when Jehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves that he cut with a penknife. So in other words, he's read about 3 or 4 pages of this scroll, of this writing. And he's saying he cut it with a penknife and cast it into the fire that was in the hearth until the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the hearth. Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments, neither the king nor any of his servants that heard these words. Nevertheless, Elthanan and Delaiah and Gemariah had made intercession to the king that he would not burn the roll, and that they would not hear him. Notice how they're saying they would not rent their garments. Why? What are garments? Well, we go all the way back to the beginning. It's the covering for the shame of your sin. That's what garments are. And to rent your garments is to be like, my sin is exposed. It's a sign of repentance. So you put sackcloth on your head. I am dust and ashes, and my sin is exposed. You rent your garments. Okay? Neither the king or any of his servants heard these words. This is why the priests are not supposed to tear their robes, because their robes are a foretype of the righteousness of Christ. They're linen robes, which are given to the saints. Okay? And so they're a foretype of the righteousness of Christ, and that you don't tear open to expose your sin. Your sins are covered permanently. Nevertheless, Elhanan, Delaiah, and Gemariah had made intercession to the king that he would not burn the roll, but he would not hear them. But the king commanded Jeremiel, the son of Hamelech, and Seraiah, the son of Azriel, and Shemaliah, the son of Abdiel, to take Baruch, the scribe, and Jeremiah the prophet, but the Lord hid them. They got out of Dodge while the getting was good. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, and after that the king burned the roll, and the words of the Baruch wrote in the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, take thee again another roll, and write in the former rolls that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim the king of Judah had burned. If you guys have ever seen the Jeremiah movie, it's actually pretty good. It's pretty solid. It's got Patrick Dempsey as Jeremiah. The only thing I don't like about it is they have like this story, because he is told by the Lord not to marry, and there's this woman that he likes and apparently wants to marry, and she gets murdered. I don't think that was necessary to add to the story. But like they have this whole scene where he goes and he's prophesying to the king, and then the king burns the scroll and all that stuff. So it's a neat movie. It's okay. And thou shalt say to the Jehoiakim, king of Judah, thus saith the Lord, thou hast burned this roll, saying, what hast thou written therein? Saying, the king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy the land, and shall cause to cease from thence man and beast. Therefore thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, he shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat, and in the night to the frost, his dead body. And I will punish him and his seed and his servants for their iniquity. I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah all the evil that I pronounce against them, but they hearken not. So he's saying, so this guy does die, but they haven't said how he dies yet. So we're going to read this. It's not in Kings apparently either. Then took Jeremiah another roll and gave Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah the words of the book that Jehoiakim the king of Judah had burned in the fire, and they were added besides them many like words. So the Lord is saying that him and his seeds are going to be punished for their iniquity, and this is Jehoiakim, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day and the heat and the night and the frost. So let's see what happens to him. And King Zedekiah the son of Josiah reigned instead of Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon made king in the land of Judah. So remember, he's going to die. We haven't really gone into the details on how he dies. Let's see if that is in 1 Kings. I don't believe it is. In 2 Kings. Let's see. He became a servant for 3 years, and it just says he slept with his fathers and his son reigned in his stead. So let's see how he slept with his fathers. Nebuchadnezzar carried the vessels away. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 11 years, so he's going to die when he's 36. Against him came Nebuchadnezzar and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried the vessels of the Lord to Babylon. So this is Jehoiakim, his son, I think. So we go to Josiah, Jehoaz, and he reigns 3 months. And Jehoiakim reigned 11 years. So Jehoiakim does get carried away to Babylon, and then Jehoiakim starts reigning at 8 years old. So it says his dead body is going to be thrown out, but it doesn't really say how and when that happens. I will double check in Ezekiel. That's the only other place where it could be. But then Jehoiakim reigns, it says 8 years old here. In 2 Kings, it says 18 years old. So it's probably 18 because his father is 38. And that would mean he had him when he was 20. I don't think he's 8 years old. I think there's a mistake here in 2 Chronicles, and 2 Kings is the accurate one. And this is when the year was expired, so he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. When the year was expired, Nebuchadnezzar came to Babylon. He was 20 years old. Zedekiah starts reigning when he's 20 years old, so that's his brother. So this would have been his youngest brother, but he has a son that's just a couple years younger than his youngest brother. He's going to reign in 11 years. So we have a prophecy that he's going to die and be thrown in the streets, but all we know is he goes into Babylon and then he dies there. That's all we know. So and King Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, reigned instead of Coniah. That's another word. Jeconiah is another word for Jehoiakim. And there's Jehoiakim or Jehoiakim and Jehoiachin. And I think Jehoiakim, Coniah is another name for Jehoiakim, the son of Jehoiakim, or Jehoiachin, the son of Jehoiakim. So this would be, he's reigning in the place of his nephew, who's just a couple years younger than him, whom Nebuchadnezzar king made king in the land of Judah, but neither he nor his servants nor the people in the land did hearken to the words of the Lord, which he spake to the prophet Jeremiah. So even though they keep getting their butts handed to them, it's important to show how slow to anger, how gracious the Lord is in showing them exactly what they're doing wrong, and yet they're not listening. And Zedekiah the king sent Jehukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Messiah, the priest, to the prophet Jeremiah, saying, "Pray now to the Lord God for us." I'm curious if that's the same Zephaniah. Probably not. And Jeremiah came and went out among the people, and they had not put him in prison. Then Pharaoh's army was come forth out of Egypt, and when the Chaldeans that just besieged Jerusalem heard tidings of them, they departed from Jerusalem. So Egypt comes out to seemingly to fight Nebuchadnezzar, and they back down, and that's when the Jews get all uppity. Then came the word of the Lord to the prophet Jeremiah, saying, "Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, thus shall you say to the king of Judah, that sent you unto me to inquire of me, behold, Pharaoh's army, which is come forth to help you, shall return to Egypt into their own land, and the Chaldeans shall come again and fight against the city, and take it and burn it with fire. Thus saith the Lord, deceive not yourselves, saying the Chaldeans will surely depart from us, for they shall not depart." They're just going to back off a little bit until the Egyptians leave. "For though ye had smitten the whole army of the Chaldeans to fight against you, and there remained but wounded men among them, they would rise up every man in his tent and burn the city with fire." It's like, even if you were beat the crap out of them, I'm going to make sure they take them out. "And it came to pass when the army of the Chaldeans was broken up from Jerusalem for fear of Pharaoh's army, then Jeremiah went forth out of Jerusalem to go into the land of Benjamin, to separate himself thence in the midst of the people." So he is not going to hang around Jerusalem anymore. They keep putting him in prison. They put him in a cistern. I don't know if they put him in the cistern yet, though. "When he was in the gate of Benjamin, the captain of the ward was there, whose name was Erijah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Hananiah. And he took Jeremiah the prophet, and saying, Thou fallest away to the Chaldeans." He's like, I wish I had fallen away from the Chaldeans. I hate being a prophet. Then Jeremiah says, "It is false. I will not fall away to the Chaldeans." But he hearkened not to him. So Erijah took Jeremiah and brought him to the princes. Wherefore the princes were wroth with Jeremiah, and smote him, and put him in prison in the house of Jonathan the scribe, for they had made that the prison. When Jeremiah was entered into the dungeon and into the cabins, and Jeremiah remained there many days, then Zedekiah the king sent and took him out, and the king asked him secretly in his house, and said, "Is there any word from the Lord?" Oh, now you want to know the word of the Lord, huh? And Jeremiah said, "There is. For said he, Thou shalt be delivered in the hands of the king of Babylon." Second verse, same as the first, y'all. Second verse, same as the first. How many times do I got to tell you? You're going down. Moreover, Jeremiah said unto King Zedekiah, "What have I offended against thee, or against thy servants, or against this people, that you have put me into prison?" Bro, I am not writing this song. Second verse, same as the first, okay? "Where are now your prophets, which prophesied against you, saying, The king of Babylon shall not come against you, nor against this land? Therefore hear now, I pray thee, O my lord, the king, let my supplication, I pray thee, be accepted before thee, that thou cause me to return to the house of Jonathan the scribe, lest I die there." Then Zedekiah the king commanded that they should not commit Jeremiah into the court of the prison, that they should give him a daily piece of bread of the baker's street, till the bread and the city were spent, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. So he's kind of treated like Joseph, where he's in the prison, but they're treating him pretty nicely, okay? They're like, make sure this guy has some bread while we're all starving to death. Oh, that's sweet of them. So Zedekiah is just like, he's going down, but he's trying to be nice about it, right? Remember, he's a 20-year-old kid when he's taken. He doesn't want this job. Plymouth Rock fell on him. He's not a good guy, though. Then Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malachiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken to all the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, He that remains of the city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he that goes forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he will have his life for a prey, and shall live. The king is like, I need you guys to surround me and die for me rather than run from me and make it easy for them to catch me. Thus saith the Lord, this city shall surely be given in the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princess said to the king, we beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in the city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such word in them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of his people, but the hurt. He's just full of negitude. We don't need this kind of... We're supposed to positively confess. What he's doing is he's manifesting negativity on our city. That guy... Then Zedekiah the king said, behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do no thing against you. Then took they Jeremiah and cast him in the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Hamelech, which was in the court of the prison. They let Jeremiah down with cords. In the dungeon there was no water but mire, and Jeremiah sunk in the mire. What is this? They call it a dungeon, but let's see what's in a better translation. It is in a cistern. So a cistern is where you would store a bunch of water for a siege. You just store water in general. It's kind of like you have these fountains that are constantly pouring water. So the idea is you're just taking buckets of water from this and they're pouring in the cistern. Then the dirt and the sediment, they still have these in India all over the place. And the dirt and the sediment is going to go to the bottom, and as long as you don't have any, they also get sick in India all the time. But if you don't have any, diseases or dead animals in them or whatever, that water is going to be pretty good, kind of like a pond. And you're going to be able to take it out of it and drinking it. Of course, you probably want to heat the water so it doesn't get bacteria in it. But the point is you have this store of water. Okay. Well, this cistern is dry, but not dry. It's basically mud and muck at the bottom. So nice. So at the bottom, you're going to have basically ground that has been muddy and wet forever, because it's probably been a cistern for hundreds of years. And so at the bottom, you have a nice muck pit. The sediments of all this water forever has been settling down at the bottom, and that's where you're sitting, Jeremiah, in basically a muck pit. There's only mud, and Jeremiah sank in the mud. Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, Ebed-Melech, a eunuch in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the cistern. The king appealed, happened to be sitting at the Benjamin gate. So Ebed-Melech left the king's house and spoke to the king. My lord king, these men have acted wickedly, as did the prophet Jeremiah, by throwing him into a cistern to die of hunger, for there's no bread left in the city. He's like, I ordered that guy to be fed bread, not to be put in a cistern. Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, take 3 men with you from here and pull the prophet Jeremiah up from the cistern before he dies. It would have been cold, it would have been wet, and he would have been starved to death down there. That's what they were trying to do to him. This is not a good way to be treated. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went to the house of the king, to the wardrobe of the storehouse, and took from there old rags and worn-out clothes, which he let down Jeremiah in the cistern by ropes. Then Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, just put the rags and the clothes between your armpits and the ropes. Jeremiah did so. Then they drew Jeremiah up by the ropes and pulled him out of the cistern, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard. Then Zedekiah sent for the prophet Jeremiah and received him in the third entrance of the temple of the Lord. And the king said to Jeremiah, I have something to ask you. Do not hide anything from me. Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, if I tell you, you will put me to death, will you not? And if I give you advice, you will not listen to me. So King Zedekiah swore an oath in secret to Jeremiah, as the Lord lives, who gave us our lives, I will not put you to death or hand you over to the men who seek your life. Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if you will only surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then your life will be spared, and the city will not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. Just surrender. Surrender, dude. But if you do not surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then the city will be handed over to the Chaldeans, they will burn it with fire, and you yourself will not escape from their hand. King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Judeans who have deserted to the Chaldeans, for I might be handed over to them, and they would abuse me. Oh, all this time you're like, don't go over to him, and you're like, you're the one who got us in this mess, King so-and-so. Jeremiah said, that will not happen. Just obey the voice of the Lord in what I say to you, and it shall go well with you, and your life will be spared. He's telling him, this is what the word of the Lord is, dude. Why do you keep asking me what the word of the Lord is, and then you won't do it? They're going to keep doing this to Jeremiah. But if you determine not to surrender, this is what the Lord has shown me. A vision of all the women remaining in the house of the king of Judah being led out to the officials of the king of Babylon, saying, your trusted friends have seduced you and have overcome you. Now your feet are stuck in the mud. They desert you. All your wives and your children shall be led out to the Chaldeans, and you yourself shall not escape from their hand, but shall be seized by the king of Babylon. The city shall be burned with fire. Then Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, do not let anyone else know of this conversation, or you will die. Don't tell nobody. If the officials should just hear what I have spoken to you, they will come to you to say to you, just tell us what you said to the king. Do not conceal it from us, or we will put you to death. What did the king say to you? Then you shall say to them, I was presenting my plea to the king to send me back to the house of Jonathan to die there. He's like, you lie. If somebody asks you what you said to the king, you lie. I don't want anybody knowing this. All the officials did come to Jeremiah and question him, and he answered them the very words of the king commanded, so they stopped questioning him, for the conversation had been overheard. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken. So Jeremiah told the lie that he was commanded to tell by the king. I don't know if that makes him a good prophet or a bad prophet. I know he's not in a good mood for most of this stuff. He's mad at God plenty of times. In the 9th year of King Zedekiah of Judah, in the 10th month, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon and all his army came against Jerusalem and besieged it. In the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, and the 9th day of the month, the breach was made of the city. When Jerusalem was taken, all the officials of the king of Babylon came and sat in the middle of the gate. Nergal-Sharezer, Samgar-Nebo, Sarakim, and Rabasaris. Nergal-Sharezer, Rabmag, and the rest of the officials of the king of Babylon. So those are very Babylonian names. Nebo, I believe, is a god name. I don't know these Sharezer names. Nergal is a god name, I believe. So they have these very Babylonian god names. When King Zedekiah of Judah and all the soldiers saw them, they fled, going out of the city at night by way of the king's garden, the gate between two walls, and they went toward the Arabah. Where's the Arabah? The Arabah is apparently down by they're heading down south. So they're going to the south of the Dead Sea. They're hoping to escape to, where are they trying to go? Nobody likes them around there. Maybe into Egypt, maybe into Aqaba, and to sail away. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued them and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. So they had to go through Jericho and all that to get there. And they failed. They failed hard. Jericho would be way north of there. And they brought him to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon at Riblah in the hand of Hamath, and they passed sentence on him. So they tried to sneak out. You want everybody else, you're like, stand tall and fight while I sneak away. The king of Babylon slaughtered the sons of Zedekiah at Riblah before his eyes. So where's Riblah? It's right there in the desert, of course. So you see there's the Sea of Galilee. It's north up there. It's up by Damascus kind of area. So there's where he kills him. And he put out the eyes of Zedekiah and bound him in fetters to take him to Babylon. The Chaldeans burned the king's house and the houses of the people and broke down the walls of Jerusalem. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, exiled to Babylon the rest of the people who were left in the city who had deserted them, the people who remained. So remember, the Lord said those people, it's not necessarily all the people that are going to be get it bad, but it's the ones who let their slaves go. So these would have been upper class people and then took them back again. They are either going to be dead or slaves. Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left land in Judah some of the poor people who owned nothing and gave them vineyards and fields at the same time. So in other words, what he's doing, he's leaving the poor of the land as kind of like peasants to take care of the land. And they're going to eventually set up lords over those land that these people have to pay taxes to. So they're basically like peasants. They can earn their food and they can have some shelter. But the kings, the lords of the Babylonians can come and take chunks of food to feed their armies or whatever at any time. So King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon gave command concerning Jeremiah through Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, saying, "Take him and look after him well, to do him no harm, but deal with him as he may ask you." So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, Nebuchadnezzar and Rabsaris and Nergal-Sharezer and Rabmag and all the chief officers of the king of Babylon sent and took Jeremiah from the court of the guard. They entrusted him to Gedaliah, the son of Hikam, son of Shaphan, to be brought home, and he stayed with his own people. So now remember, for some context, how does Nebuchadnezzar know that Jeremiah is a good guy? Well, you have all the people that have been going over to him and surrendering to his army. He's also had Daniel for a counselor, probably for somewhere in the ballpark of, it could be up to 8 to 10 years. So if you go to the book of Daniel, this begins, it says the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim. So this is going to be the guy who's ruling before Zedekiah. Remember, there's Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and for just a couple years or something like that, and then Zedekiah, okay? So in the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, he besieged it, and it says he's gonna get all these people, okay? So you're gonna have a good 15 years where Daniel is here, and then he's gonna get his thing where he's not gonna defile himself with rations. That's Hananiah, that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with him, and they do that test for 10 days. So this is right at the beginning of when they're taken, and then it says in the 2nd year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign, he dreams these dreams that his spirit troubled him and set him. So it was in the 2nd year of his reign. So he probably comes up against Jerusalem as soon as he starts reigning, and it's very early on that Daniel is going to do this dream for him, and he's going to become the chief of his magi and all his wise men and soothsayers and stuff like that. So Daniel is going to be basically his number one advisor in relation to supernatural things, okay? So we know Daniel is aware of Jeremiah. We know Jeremiah is sending letters to people in Babylon who are having false prophets prophecy to them, and Daniel is probably conveying to Nebuchadnezzar that Jeremiah is a legit prophet, and Jeremiah is telling them to surrender to him. So he probably knows this, and then when he gets over there and he's actually besieging it, and this is going to be about 10, 15 years later, him and Daniel are tight. Remember, Daniel is going to take care of him for 7 years. He makes his gold statue, and then he turns into a beast. That's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And then let's see how long Nebuchadnezzar ruled for. So this is Nebuchadnezzar the second. There's another Nebuchadnezzar before him. He rules from 605 to 582. So it's the first year. It's in the second year that Daniel becomes his buddy. So that's like 603. And it's 587 when Jerusalem is destroyed. So that's 13 years. So it looks like Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar become boys right away. He's going to destroy Jerusalem 13 years after that. And he is going to rule for a total of 40 years. So he's going to keep ruling from 587 to 562. So another 25 years after that. So it's probably after that he has his 7 years as a beast and Daniel takes care of him. But Daniel is his boy. Daniel is his right-hand dude. He's telling him he's going to be the greatest king of all. And then after he wins, or after he goes away, another lesser king is going to be after him. And you want to read Daniel 4 or 5 and understand that probably Daniel 1 through 3 is going to be before he's taken Babylon. And then 4 through 5 is going to be after he's taken Babylon. Probably over the course of like the next 30, 40 years after he's taken Babylon. So, Daniel 3 is going to be the gold statue with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's probably pretty early on too. So these first 3 chapters of Daniel are probably in like the first 5 years of his reign. Then 4 is going to be probably toward the end of his reign. And then 5 is going to be in the reign of his grandson, actually. His son is ruling from another city, but his grandson is ruling in Babylon. And then Darius the Mede is going to come. So you have multiple people probably speaking up on behalf of Jeremiah. Ezekiel may be aware of Jeremiah too, but he doesn't seem to have any connections to Nebuchadnezzar. He seems to just be in another city, prophesying to the Jews and walking around naked and stuff. So back to, where do we say we were? So he says, so Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, Nebuzaradan, the Rabsaris, Nergal-Sharezer, the Rab-Mag, and I don't know what these Rab-Mag and Rab-Sharezer mean. Let's see if there's language here. Rab-Mag, the foreign word for a Magian, the chief Magian. That's interesting. Rab-Mag means chief Magian. So Rab-Carrick means chief eunuch. Or Rab-Saris means chief eunuch. Rab-Mag means chief magi. So definitely that guy knows Daniel because he's the chief of the magi and Daniel is over the magi. He's over all the wise men. So that's good to know. So you have Nebuzaradan, you have a guy who probably reports to Daniel, and then you have this other guy who is the head of the eunuchs. And he probably is over the guys who knows Daniel too because he was the one who was feeding them fruits and vegetables instead of meats. And then Nergal-Sharezer. So Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuzaradan, all these people probably know Daniel. So anyways, he says, now the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. We shut up in the court of the prison, saying, go and speak to Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I'll bring my words upon the city for evil and not for good, and they shall be accomplished in that day before thee. But I will deliver thee in that day. This is the eunuch who helped him, saith the Lord, and thou shalt not be given in the hand of the men whom thou art afraid. For I will surely deliver thee, and thou shalt not fall by the sword, but thy life shall be a prey unto thee. because you have put thy trust in me, saith the Lord. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord. After that, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, let him go to Ramah, where he had taken him, being bound in chains, among all that were carried away captive of Jerusalem and Judea, who were carried away captive unto Babylon. So I think this is I'm gonna get close to the end of the historical portion here. It's 42, 43. That's the Jews that dwell in. He's going to prophesy to the Jews that dwell in Egypt, about Jeremiah, or about Nebuchadnezzar coming to get him. It's 44, 45. Here's another prophecy in the days of Jehoiakim, and I think 45 through 48. No, here's a prophet against the Gentiles, which came Jeremiah the prophet against the Gentiles. 46. I think he's going to have a series of prophecies against the nations surrounding them, like you're going to get yours too. 47, 48, that's Moab. 49, the Ammonites. 50 is against Babylon and the Chaldeans. 51 is still the Babylon. 52 is against Babylon. So he's going to keep prophesying after the city is destroyed. It doesn't really say how long he lives, but it looks like after the city is destroyed, he's going to prophesy against the rest of them, the rest of the nations all around, because Babylon's going to get them too. And remember, some of them are still under the dominion of Egypt at the time. And some of them attacked Jerusalem, and God's not happy with that, okay? So we're probably going to finish on, let's see, we're going to finish with 43, and we're going to call that a wrap, and then we'll finish up in the next session. So, the captain of the guard took Jeremiah and said to him, the Lord thy God hath pronounced this evil upon this place, and now the Lord hath brought it and done according to all that he has said, because you have sinned against the Lord, and you have not obeyed his voice, and this thing came upon you. He's like, you ain't got to lie, Craig. And now, behold, I loose thee in this day from the chains that were upon thine hand, and if it seems good to thee to come to me with Babylon, come, and I will look well unto thee. But if it seem ill unto thee to come with me to Babylon, forbear. Behold, the land is before me, whither it seemeth good and convenient for thee to go, thither go. Now, you're going to have these fake rumors that are going to pop up in 2 Maccabees about how he took the tabernacle and the ark and went and hid it in a mountain. There's no way that happened under these circumstances. How, when he is literally in a cistern and then he is in a prison until it's... How is he going to get the ark in the tabernacle? They're toast. They're burned with fire. And the ark had been taken by Nebuchadnezzar already. Now, while he was not yet gone back, he said, go back to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon made governor of the cities of Judah, and dwell with him among the people, and go whithersoever it seemeth convenient unto thee to go. So the captain of the guard gave him victuals and reward, and let him go. Then went Jeremiah to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, to Mizpah, and he dwelt there among them and the people that were left in the land. So where is Mizpah? Mizpah is up here. You see Bethel. You see Gibeah and Gibeah. That's Benjamin. Mizpah would be right up in that gap between Jerusalem and Ephraim in the old school territory. You see Gibeon up the street from Gibeah. One is where Saul is king from. The other one is those people who they spared to their hurt, those Canaanites who deceived them. Ramah up here and Mizpah you see up here is on your way towards Ai. And this area of Mizpah goes all the way back to Genesis. That's where Laban and Jacob made their deal. And then, let's see. It's not mentioned again until 1 Kings. And King Asa of Judah, who was, I believe, a good king, built that city up. So it's kind of near the place. It's not the same place. I think it was Shiloh where it was, and Shiloh was up here somewhere. But remember the place where the prophets used to all hang out in the days of Samuel? It's kind of near there, but it's not the same place. So he's going to go chill in Mizpah. And And then he says, now when all the captains of the forces which were in the fields, even they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, governor of the land, and they had committed unto him men and women and children and the poor of the land of them that were not carried away to Babylon, then came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, even Ishmael the son of Nethaniah and Jonathan the sons of Kareah, and Sariah the son of Tanumeth, and the sons of Ephi, and Netophathite, and Jezaniah the son of Maacathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah the son of Ahikam the son of Shaphan sware unto them and their men, saying, fear not to serve the Chaldeans, dwell in the land, serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. So in other words, the remaining people who are left, who are kind of the ragtag leaders of what's left of your ragamuffin crew, okay, are coming up to this Gedaliah, who Gedaliah is, I believe he was like a king's guard who was treating Jeremiah good. It's looking like he's just an official. So whoever these guys are, we're going to learn in the next chapter, they're of the seed royal. In other words, they're descendants of David. Okay. He tells them, don't be afraid to serve the king of Babylon. It will go well with you if you do. As for me, behold, I will dwell at Mizpah and serve the Chaldeans, which will come to us. But you gather wine and summer fruits and oil and put them in your vessels and dwell in the cities you have taken. In other words, you guys have managed to take what was left of the remnants of these cities, plant fields, rebuild the cities, and live in them. Just serve the king of Babylon, all right? Likewise, when all the Jews that were in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom and that were in all the countries heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and he had set over them Gedaliah the son of Ahikam the son of Shaphan, even all the Jews returned out of the places where they were driven and came to the land of Judah to Gedaliah and to Mizpah and gathered wine and summer fruits very much. So in other words, all these people who had fled out of the land because Nebuchadnezzar was coming and dwelt in the lands of the people who had already agreed to serve him, so they were kind of safe there, and these would have been probably the upper class, merchant class, maybe some nomadic shepherds and stuff like that. They all came back. And then moreover, Johanan the son of Kareah, I wonder if that's where the Karaite Jews come from. I'm curious. Doesn't look like that, but if there's anyone that knows anything about Karaite Judaism, if there's any connection there, please note it in the comment section. All the captains of the forces that were in the fields came to Gedaliah and Mizpah, so there were some apparently captains of the forces, so military captains that had fled there. And said to them, dost thou certainly know that the Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, so that the Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael the son of Nethaniah to slay thee. So the king of the Ammonites is sending someone to assassinate Gedaliah, who Nebuchadnezzar has left in charge of everything. So Gedaliah is a Jew. He's the son of a scribe, and he's been put in charge of everything, and now they're going to try to assassinate him. But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam believed them not. Then Johanan the son of Kareah spoke to Gedaliah and Mizpah secretly, saying, let me go, I pray thee, and I will slay Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and no man shall know it. Wherefore should he slay thee, that all the Jews that were gathered unto thee be scattered, and the remnant of Judah perish? But Gedaliah the son of Ahikam said to Johanan the son of Kareah, thou shalt not do this thing, for thou speakest falsely of Ishmael. So it's this Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, whoever this guy is supposed to assassinate him. Now it came to pass in the 7th month that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama of the seed royal, and the princes of the king, even 10 men with him, came to Gedaliah the son of Ahikam at Mizpah, and there they did eat bread together at Mizpah. Okay, so he is in charge at Mizpah. Jeremiah is leading him, and he's basically put in charge as governor of Israel. And this guy is actually of the royal line, and he's trying to take back power in the land as king. So what does he do? Then arose Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men that were with him. Now, I don't know who Nethaniah is. He's not mentioned anywhere here. He's probably some distant cousin of the line of David who feels he has a claim to the throne, and he's going to try to take over. And he says, the son of Hiakim, the son of Shaphan, with a sword, and he slew him, who the king of Babylon had made governor of the land. So he slew the king of Babylon's puppet governor. Ishmael also slew all the Jews that were with him, even with Gedaliah and Mizpah, and the Chaldeans that were found there, and the men of war. So he would have had a guard from the Chaldeans, and he kills all them too. And it came to pass in the second day after he had slain Gedaliah, and no man knew it, that there came certain men from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria, even 80 men, so 12, having their beards shaven and their clothes rent, and having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hand, to bring them into the house of the Lord. This is weird that they have a house of the Lord here. First of all, they're cutting themselves, and their beards are shaven, and their clothes are rent. So what are they doing? Well, in Shechem and Shiloh, Shiloh would have been destroyed, I believe, under the Assyrians, but it could have been under the Babylonians. Samaria would have been populated by people who are kind of syncretizing Judaism with their own gods. Shechem had for a long time been a Canaanite city. The Shechemites were Amorites. And these 80 men are bringing with their beards shaven, so it's some act of humility, their clothes rent, and having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hands to bring them to the house of the Lord. This is weird, but maybe the house of the Lord has not yet been burned yet, because the house of the Lord gets burned like a year after the city's taken, so maybe it hasn't been burned yet. And Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, went forth from Mizpah to meet them, weeping all along as he went. And it came to pass as he met him that they said, Come to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. And it was so that they came in the midst of the city, that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, slew them and cast them into the midst of the pit, and the men that were with him. But 10 men were found among them that said unto Ishmael, Slay us not, for we have treasures in the field of wheat and of barley and of oil and of honey. So he forbare and slew them not among their brethren. So in other words, they had food stash that he wanted, and so they said, okay. Now the pit wherein Ishmael had cast all the dead bodies of men whom he had slain because of Gedaliah, was it which Asa the king had made for fear of Baasha king of Israel, and Ishmael the son of Nethaniah filled it with them that were slain. Then Ishmael carried away captive all the residue of the people that were at Mizpah, even the king's daughters, and all the people that remained in Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had committed to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, and Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, carried them away captive, and departed to go over to the Amorites. So what is his goal? Well, he seems to have gotten the king's daughters. Okay, so they would have been put in charge of this governor. They weren't carried away captive. Remember, the king is carried away captive. His sons are killed, but his daughters are apparently allowed to remain under the governorship of Gedaliah. And this guy, who's of the seed royal, has taken them all. So it seems to be his plan to eventually make a comeback with the and reinstall himself as the king, or one of his sons. But when Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captain's forces that were with him heard of the evil that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah had done, then they took all the men that went to fight with Ishmael the son of Nethaniah and found him by the great waters that were in Gibeon. So they're down here now, which is ironic because that's a Canaanite city. That's that city that kind of led to a lot of spreading of junk in the land. Now it came to pass when all the people that were with Ishmael saw Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captains of the forces that were with him, then they were glad. So all the people that Ishmael had carried away captive to Mizpah cast about and returned and went to Johanan the son of Kareah. But Ishmael the son of Nethaniah escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then took Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captains of the forces that were with him, all the remnant of the people who had recovered from Ishmael the son of Nethaniah from Mizpah, after all he had slain Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, the mighty men of war, and the women and the children and the eunuchs whom he had brought over from Gibeon. After that he had slain Gedaliah. Okay, so all the people he took after he slain them. So he took the mighty men of war, the women, the children, and the eunuchs. So basically he took the people captive who were there to basically be under the charge of Gedaliah. And they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Chimham, which is by Bethlehem, to go to enter Egypt. So wherever Chimham is, it's by Bethlehem, and so it's going to be down in the south here, right here, and then they're going to head into Egypt from there. So it looks like it looks like what they're trying to do is set up if you will, a legitimate royal kingdom in exile to make a comeback after Nebuchadnezzar falls. That's what it looks like. Because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, because Ishmael the son of Nethaniah had slain Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon had made governor in the land. So I'm sorry, it is Johanan who was actually one of the good guys. It says he went to go fight with him, and the people came with him. It doesn't say what happens to this Ishmael, though. It doesn't say if he gets killed. Then he says, so I'm assuming they fight them and he gets killed with them, but it doesn't say what happens to him. Ishmael, the son of Methaniah. So we don't know what ends up happening to Ishmael, but it seems like the people who he had taken captive, I'm assuming he gets defeated, he flees or something. I'm sorry, he escaped from Jonathan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. So he runs away, basically. And then all the people that he had taken captive go with Johanan. And because Gedaliah has been killed, they're worried that it might be look like that they did it, so they want to flee to Egypt. Because of the Chaldeans whom they are afraid of. So it says, then all the captains of the forces, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and Jezaniah the son of Hoshaiah, and all the people from the least to the greatest came near, and they said to Jeremiah the prophet. So we're assuming Jeremiah is probably among those people who were taken from Mizpah by Ishmael down to Bethlehem before they finally get set free. He says to Jeremiah, he says, let we beseech thee, our supplication be accepted before thee, and pray before us, Lord God, even for all this remnant, for we are left but a few of many, as thine eyes behold us, that the Lord thy God may show us the way wherein we may walk, and the thing that we may do. In other words, tell us what to do and we'll do it. Okay? Boy, Jeremiah's like, I've heard that before. Then Jeremiah the prophet said unto him, I have heard you. Behold, I will pray unto the Lord your God according to your words, and it shall come to pass that whatever thing the Lord shall answer to you, I will declare it unto you, and I will keep nothing back from you. Then they said to Jeremiah, the Lord be true and faithful witness between us, if we do not even do even according to all the things which the Lord thy God shall send thee to us. Whether it be good or whether it be evil, we will obey the voice of the Lord our God, to whom we will send thee, and it may be well with us, that we may obey the voice of the Lord our God. And it came to pass after 10 days that the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. Then called he Johanan the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him, and all the people from the least to the greatest. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, whom you have sent me to present your supplication before him. If you will still abide in this land, then will I build you, and not pull you down, and I will plant you, and not pluck you up, for I repent me of the evil thing that I have done to you. In other words, the Lord's like, I regret all the harm that I brought on you guys. He doesn't want to do this. He had to do it. He had to do it for his namesake. Be not afraid of the king of Babylon, of whom you are afraid. Be not afraid of him, saith the Lord, for I am with you to save you and deliver you from his hand. And I will show mercies unto you, that he may have mercy on you and cause you to return to your own land. But if you say, we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of the Lord our God, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where we will see no war, nor hear the sound of a trumpet, nor hunger of bread, and there we will dwell. And now, therefore, hear the word of the Lord, ye remnant of Judah. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, if you wholly set your faces to enter Egypt and to sojourn there, then it will come to pass that the sword which you feared shall overtake you there in the land of Egypt, and the famine whereof you are afraid shall follow close after you there in Egypt, and you shall die. So shall it be with all the men that set their faces to go to Egypt to sojourn there. They shall die by the sword, and by famine, and by pestilence, and none of them shall remain to escape of the evil that will bring upon them. That I will bring upon them. So he's telling you, if you go to Egypt because thinking you'll be safe from him there, you won't be safe. He will come and get you, and he does do that. He goes and sacks the city on the eastern border of Egypt that they flee to. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, as mine anger and mine fury has been poured upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so shall my fury be poured out upon you, when ye shall enter into Egypt, and you shall be an execration, and an astonishment, and a curse, and a reproach, and you shall see this place no more. And the Lord has said concerning you, O ye remnant of Judah, go ye not into Egypt, know certainly that I have admonished you this day. So I'm being very clear not to go to Egypt. For ye dissembled in your hearts when you sent me to the Lord, saying, pray for us unto the Lord your God, according to all that the word of the Lord says, so declare to us, and we will do it. Now I have this day declared to you what to do, but you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord your God, nor anything which he hath sent me unto you. Now therefore know certainly that you shall die by the sword, by the famine, by pestilence in the place where you desire to go and sojourn. And it came to pass, when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking to all the people the words of the Lord their God, for which the Lord their God had sent even unto them, and all these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshaiah, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, thou speakest falsely. So they just go to him and say, we know you're the legit prophet. Everything you said come to pass. Tell us what the Lord do, we'll do it. And he tells them, and he's like, you are a liar. You're a false prophet now. The Lord has not sent thee to say, go not into Egypt and sojourn there. But Baruch the son of Neriah setteth thee up against us, for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans, that they might put us to death and carry away the captives to Babylon. Why is Baruch against him? So Johanan the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces, and all the people obeyed not the voice of the Lord to dwell in the land of Judah, But Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captains of the forces took all the remnant of Judah that were returned from all the nations, whether they had been driven to dwell in the land of Judah, even the men, the women, the children, the king's daughters, and every person that Nebuzaradan, the prophet of the guard, left with Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, and Jeremiah the prophet, and Baruch, the son of Neriah. So they came to the land of Egypt, for they obeyed not the Lord, and they came to the land of Tahaphnes. Okay? Now, Tahaphnes is going to get invaded by Nebuchadnezzar. Says, a platform of bulwark, which has been tentatively described as a pavement at the entry of Pharaoh's palace, has been discovered at this place. Here, says the discoverer William Phaedrus Petrie, the ceremony described by Jeremiah 43:8, which is where we are, took place before the chiefs of the fugitives assembled on the platform, and here Nebuchadnezzar spread his royal pavilion. So he tells him he's going to get you here in this city called Tahaphnes. Now, Tahaphnes is over here. It would be just west of the Suez Canal. Goshen's way over here. It's not that far. It's literally on the eastern border of Egypt, if you can imagine where the Suez Canal is, on this side of the Sinai. So he says, then came the word of the Lord Jeremiah and Tahaphnes. So apparently they take Jeremiah with. Okay? So the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah and Tahaphnes, saying, take great stones in thine hand and hide them in the city in the brick kiln, which is at the entry of Pharaoh's house in Tahaphnes, and in the sight of the men of Judah, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will send and take Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon, my servant, and I will set his throne upon these stones that I have hid, and he will spread his royal pavilion over them. And when he cometh, he shall smite the land of Egypt, and deliver such as are to death for death, and such as are for captivity to captivity, and such as are for sword to the sword. And I will kindle a fire in the houses of all the gods of Egypt, and he shall burn them, carry them away captives, and he shall array himself in the land of Egypt. As a shepherd puts on his garment, he shall go forth in peace. And he shall break the images of Beth-Shemesh, that is in the land of Egypt, and the house of the gods of the Egyptians shall he burn with fire. So it's not that he's going to take over and invade all of Egypt. It's that the Egyptians are setting their royal palace in this place called Tahaphnes, which is near the border of Egypt, and Nebuchadnezzar is going to sack that city and all their gods that are there. So then Jeremiah's got them in Tahaphnes, or they've got Jeremiah. They've basically taken him with them. It says, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Jews that dwell in the land of Egypt, which dwell at Mignal and at Tahaphnes and at Noph in the country of Pathros, saying, so Jeremiah is probably pretty old here. By this time, he has lived he was probably a teenager when he starts prophesying in the days of Josiah. And then it's going to be 11 years plus 3 years plus 11 years. He's probably pushing 60, I would guess, by now. It said, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, you have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem, upon all the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are in desolation, and no man dwelleth therein. Because of their wickedness which they have committed to provoke me to anger, and they went to burn incense and serve other gods whom they knew not, neither they, ye, nor your fathers, howbeit I sent unto you my servants the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearken not, nor incline their ear to turn from wickedness, to burn incense unto other God. Wherefore my fury and mine anger was poured forth, and was kindled in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, and they are wasted and desolate as at this day. Therefore now thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, wherefore commit ye this great evil against your souls, to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling out of Judah, to leave none to remain. So the evil that he's accusing them of now is leaving their heritage behind. So remember how earlier on we talked about how the Jews that go to Babylon, God says he's going to bring them back to the land which they prosper, but the Jews that go to Egypt are going to be cursed. Okay? And this is really important because the Masoretic text comes from the Jews in Babylon, and the Septuagint comes from the Jews in Egypt. It's really important. In that you provoke me to wrath through the works of your hands, burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt, whether ye be gone to dwell, that you might cut yourselves off, that you might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. Have ye forgotten the wickedness of your fathers, and the wickedness of the kings of Judah, and the wickedness of your wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives which you have committed in the land of Judah, and the streets of Jerusalem? They are not humbled even to this day, neither have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes, that I set before you and before your fathers. Therefore thus saith the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil, to cut off all Judah, and I will take the remnant of Judah, and I will set their faces to go into the land of Egypt, to sojourn there, and they will be consumed and fall in the land of Egypt. They shall even be consumed by the sword and famine, and they shall die from the least to the greatest, by the sword and by the famine, and they shall be an execration and astonishment, and a curse and a reproach. For I will punish them and dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by famine, and the pestilence. so that none of the remnant of Judah which are gone to the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall escape or remain, that they should return in the land of Judah in which they have desire to return to dwell there, for none shall return such as shall escape. Then all the men which knew their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken to us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto these. So they're not just leaving and going to Egypt, they're leaving and going to Egypt and burning incense to Egypt's gods. There's just no repentance in this people. But we will certainly do whatever thing goes forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven. Remember, this was originally Inanna, then it was Ashtoreth, then it was Ishtar, then it was Isis. That's their Queen of Heaven. And to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the kings' cities of Judah, in the streets of Jerusalem. For them we have plenty of victuals, and were well and saw no evil. In other words, we're praising basically Ashtoreth. It's basically the same god of Ashtoreth. It's just the Egyptian version is Isis, because of them we live in safety and we feel no hurt. But since we left off to offer incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured off drink offerings to her, we have wanted things and been consumed by the sword and famine. In other words, when we stopped worshiping the Queen of Heaven, remember that the reason they're calling the Queen of Heaven and not Isis is because she has different names in different languages, but it's the same person. It all goes back to Inanna, who's based on the widow of Abel, in my estimation. He says, when we burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, pour drink offerings to her, and we make cakes under her to worship her, to pour out drink offerings to her without our men. He's like, in other words, things were good back when we were worshiping Ashtoreth. Then Jeremiah said unto the people, and to the men, to the women, and all the people which had given that answer, saying, the incense that you burned in the city of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem, you and your fathers, and your kings, and your princes, and the people of the land, did not the Lord remember them, and did it not come to his mind, so that the Lord could no longer bear because of the evil of your doings, and because of the abominations which you committed? Therefore is your land a desolation and an astonishment, and a curse, without an inhabitant to this day. So I want you guys to hear this loud and clear. The Jews that went to Egypt were not repentant. These are not Jews that went into Egypt all sad because Jerusalem was destroyed, just like the prophet said, according to the law of Moses. These are people that skedaddled from Jerusalem. They got while the getting was good because they had money to leave. And then they left, and then they came back after Babylon was gone. And then they were part of this group that fled because they were worried because Gedaliah was murdered. And then when they got to Egypt, they went right back to what they were doing, which was worshiping false gods. Because you have burned incense, because you have sinned against the Lord and have not obeyed the voice of the Lord and walked in his law or in his statutes or in his testimonies, therefore this evil has happened to you unto this day. Now, these people, this is going to be roughly around the 580, probably the 580s, okay? It's going to be by the, it's about 300 years later that the descendants of these people make the Septuagint. Do you think they're good people? Probably not. Moreover, Jeremiah said unto the people and all the women, hear the word of the Lord, all Judah that are in the land of Egypt. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, saying, you and your wives have spoken with your mouths and have fulfilled with your hands, saying, we will surely perform our vows that we have vowed and burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings unto her. We will accomplish your vows and surely perform your vows. Therefore hear ye the word of the Lord, all Judah that dwell in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, saith the Lord, that my name shall no more be named in the mouth of any man of Judah in all the land of Egypt, saying, the Lord God liveth. Yahweh said, my name shall no more be named in the mouth of any man of Judah in all the land of Egypt, saying, the Lord God liveth. So Yahweh Elohim liveth. Let's look at that. So Adonai, Yahovah, so the Lord Jehovah liveth. That will never be named in their mouths again. So let's look at the Septuagint. His name is the Lord Yahovah. Jeremiah 44:26. A really easy test for you. Therefore hear ye the word of the Lord, the Jews dwelling in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my name, saith the Lord, my name shall no longer be in the mouth of every Jew to say, the Lord lives in the land of Egypt. Notice Jehovah is not in it. Adonai Jehovah liveth. This just says the Lord liveth. So we want to look. Notice his name is taking out. The name Jehovah is taking out, okay? So now we're going to look at the Septuagint in Greek. So this is 44:26. And in the Greek it says, Kyrios is the word Lord. It says, through this, or therefore, aku sate, that is, hear the word of the Lord, all Judah, and that dwell in Egypt. Behold, I don't know that word. I have sworn. Okay, so that's the word that's sworn. By that's anomai, that's my name, by my name. Megalo, that's by my great name. Saith the Lord. Notice Yahovah, Kyrios is there, but Yahovah is not there. The name is taken out. That the name, okay, so I've sworn in my name, in my great name, says the Lord, if the generations yet name in my name, all Judah, I pin. So I'm looking for no more. My name in all Judah. The Lord. It says the Lord, Lord. They change it from the Lord Jehovah to the Lord, Lord. The Lord, Lord. This is it. Remember how he said, those who call me Lord, Lord? Kyrios, Kyrios. Adonai Yehovah. Adonai Yehovah. So notice in the Masoretic text, his name Yahovah is there. Okay? But in the Septuagint, they call him, just like the Calvinists, Sovereign Lord, Lord, Lord. Okay? The Lord, Lord, upon, let's see, Paso all of Egypt. In all, upon all of Egypt. So this says in the land of Egypt. This just says in the land of Egypt. This word is... Let's just be extra gangster, and we're going to get ChatGPT to read this whole thing for us. This is such a thing, you guys. This is a discovery, okay? The Lord is putting this curse on all the Jews who went into the land of Egypt, saying they're no more going to name my name, saying, as the Lord lives. And lo and behold, the Septuagint translation does not name his name Jehovah. It just says Lord, Lord, okay? So listen to what it says. Therefore, hear the word of the Lord, all Judah, and those who dwell in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, says the Lord, that my name in the mouth of every Jew, to say the Lord lives, the Lord in all the land of Egypt. That if again it shall be, if it happens my name in the mouth of any Egypt. Oh, I'm sorry. So notice it's saying in the Septuagint, if they name my name, okay? So if it says, my name shall no more be named. This one is saying, behold, I will watch over them for evil and not for good. And all the men of Judah that are in the land of Egypt shall be consumed by the sword and by famine until there be an end of them. That is not a blessing. So if this is the crowd that the Septuagint came from, notice they take Jehovah out. They just make it the Lord, Lord. The Adonai, the Lord liveth. So they're just using the word Adonai instead of the word for the Lord. Kyrios is just the Greek for Adonai. But they're taking out Yahovah, Yahovah, and Yahovah, okay? And so he's saying they're not going to name my name. If they do, I'm going to... Listen to what he's saying. He's saying, if they name my name, saying, as the Lord lives, then I will watch over them for evil and not for good. So what do? They stop using his name and they just say the Lord. So for those of you who think the Jewish tradition to not use the Lord's name is so they won't use it in vain, that is not true. The tradition is because the Lord told them, if they use my name saying, as the Lord lives, then in other words, if they call on my name, these people who went into Egypt, I will watch over them for evil and not for good. So what do? They stop using the Lord's name. They change it to just the generic the Lord. And it just so happens that the New Testament follows that pattern, and they stop using the name Yahovah, or Yahweh or Yahovah, however is the right name to pronounce it. Okay. Yet a small number that escaped the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt and into the land of Judah, and all the remnant of Judah that are gone in the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall know that these words shall stand, mine or theirs. So it's not all of them that went in there, because some of them are going to come out of Egypt and they're going to come back to Israel. Okay, but the ones that stay in Egypt, they're cursed. They're not supposed to use the Lord's name, otherwise they're going to be afflicted with a curse. However, they get around that by writing the Septuagint without putting the Lord's name in there. They just put Lord in. Okay, so is the Septuagint the better translation? No, it's a cursed translation. Sorry. There might be some things that you guys might think are more accurate, or maybe they're more accurate to an English understanding because they're translated into Greek and they're taking the Hebrew vernacular and making it sound more like a Greek statement that would make more sense to us. But is it the better translation according to the word of the Lord? No, it can't be. The people who are using it, they're in our curse not to use the Lord's name anymore. So then he says, and this shall be a sign unto you, the Lord, that I will punish you in this place, that you may know that my words shall surely stand against you for evil. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will give Pharaoh Hophra, king of Egypt, into the hand of his enemies, and in the hand of them that seek his life, as I gave Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, and them that sought his life. So, who is Pharaoh Hophra? I don't know. How does it go down for him? Apries is who he is by Manasseh. According to historians, Apries campaigned in the Levant, took Sidon, and so terrified other cities of Phoenicia that secured submission. However, this supposed submission was likely short-lived. A recent uncovered stela from Tehaphnes records Nebuchadnezzar II attempted to invade Egypt in 582 BC, but Apries' forces were capable to repel the invasion. Let's see here. So he did go in there to get the Jews. He got the Jews, but he was ultimately repelled. And then a civil war breaks out. And then this Hophra tries, with the help of a Babylonian army, to reclaim the throne of Egypt. He was likely killed in battle against this Amasis of Nubia. So he never makes a comeback. He tries to probably say to Nebuchadnezzar, I'll serve you if you help me get my throne back, and he dies in the process. That seems to be what happens. So we're going to stop there, because that's a big deal, you guys. To sit there and know that this is twice in the book of Jeremiah that God is cursing those Jews that go into Egypt for refuge. And when you realize, it's like, okay, we have the Masoretic text. They certainly have the name Yahweh in it, okay? Now, for people to say, oh, Yahweh is a shortened version, no, it's not. Yahweh is the actual name of God. It just doesn't have the vowel sounds in it like every normal Hebrew word. And the Masoretes might say it's pronounced Yahweh. I don't know. The Karaites and this guy, Jeremiah Johnson, says it's Yahovah versus Yahweh, and the Hebrew roots people in the Sacred Name movement think they're special by pronouncing it this way or that. I don't care what they think. I care that it's Jesus now. That's the name he goes by now, okay? Jesus or Yeshua, okay? So, but we do see some really obvious evidence that the Septuagint is cursed. We see that the people who were the descendants of those who worshiped the Septuagint stubbornly clung to worshiping the Queen of Heaven, aka Isis, in Egypt. So when these guys are their descendants are going to pop up in Alexandria, Egypt, with the Library of Alexandria, and make the Septuagint roughly 3 years after Manetho's Egyptological record, we know that they're trying to line up their ancient history to Manetho's history, and that's why they extend the chronologies. It shouldn't be that hard to understand, okay? So the earth is actually roughly 4,000 years between Adam and Christ, not 5,500. As the Septuagint would say. So that's going to mess up eschatology. It's going to mess up eschatology all the way into the early church age, and we're not going to get the tools to get it back to normal until the 1600s, when honestly it starts with Luther and those guys. They use the Masoretic text for the Protestant Bibles. That's where it gets better. So we're going to do next time, we're going to go Jeremiah, and we're just going to have this short prophecy. Actually, let's just read this. It's just 5 verses. The word of the prophet Jeremiah spoke to Baruch, the son of Neriah, when he wrote these words in the scroll in the dictation of Jeremiah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah of Judah. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, O Baruch, you said, woe is me, the Lord has added sorrow to my pain. I am weary with my groaning, and I find no rest. Thus you shall say to him, thus saith the Lord, I am going to break down what I have built and pluck up what I have planted, that is the whole land. And you, do you seek great things for yourself? Do not seek them, for I am going to bring disaster upon all flesh, says the Lord, but I will give you your life as a prize of war in every place to which you may go. So he promises Baruch that he's going to live. Okay? That's it. And then the rest of these prophecies from 46 to 42, we're going to read in the next time. 52 is basically the last chapter of 52 is essentially it's basically a copy of the last chapter of Kings. It's basically the same thing. So we're going to read chapter 52 and see that that's the exact same thing as First Kings. So we know that Jeremiah finishes off First Kings. It's that simple. But from, what did we say, 40... I think we said 45, 46. We're going to do 46 to 52 next time, and then we'll probably also do Lamentations next time, which I believe is 5 chapters. 5 chapters. So we're going to do probably 10 chapters next time, and then we're going to wrap up with Jeremiah, and then we're going to start back over with Chronicles, and we're going to read that history again, so it's thoroughly grounded to your head how much the Jews suck. I mean, they're sinners like the rest of us, but still... they've got it well documented how much they suck. So, hope you guys are blessed by this. And remember, if God, you want to proclaim liberty and then back out on your word before God, because he might do something really, really funny and say, how about I liberate you from your body, punk? See, I didn't swear there. Anyways, hope you guys are blessed by this. Have a great rest of your week. Batman out. Peace.
Yeah. Carlo? I pardon you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're officially pardoned from life.
Help me!
Oh my God!
I'm stepping in it. Look. Wow.
Oh, the smell.
What does it smell like?
Bent toast.
Peace, I'm out. I'm Batman.